The Biafran War, 1967 to 1970, Nigeria's civil war of survival and tragedy. Join us as we delve into Nigeria's most defining historical moments. Don't miss out on stories that shaped the nation. It was the summer of 1967, and the drumbeats of war echoed across Nigeria. The country, fresh from gaining independence in 1960, was about to face its darkest chapter, the Biafran War. What began as a political and ethnic rift spiraled into a devastating civil war, tearing apart Africa's most populous nation. Let's unravel this gripping true story of ambition, betrayal, survival, and the heavy toll of conflict. Nigeria was a young country in 1967, but its foundations were shaky. Decades of colonial rule by the British had forced over 250 ethnic groups into an artificial union. Among them, the three dominant groups, the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east, vied for political power. On May 30, 1967, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the military governor of the eastern region, declared the Republic of Biafra, signaling the region's secession from Nigeria. Keep watching as we uncover the tragedy and consequences of this monumental war. The federal military government, led by General Yakubu Gowon, declared Biafra's secession illegal. By July 6, 1967, the war began in earnest. What started as a conflict of ideals quickly devolved into a brutal military confrontation. Phase 1. Early gains for Biafra. Biafran forces initially pushed into the Midwestern region, even threatening Lagos, Nigeria's capital. Their resilience shocked the federal government, but the tide soon turned. Phase 2. The blockade. By 1968, Nigeria imposed a total blockade on Biafra, cutting off food, medicine, and supplies. This strategy aimed to starve the secessionist region into submission. The blockade resulted in one of the most heart-wrenching humanitarian crises in history. Phase 3. The starvation crisis. Images of malnourished Biafran children with distended bellies and sunken eyes dominated global headlines. An estimated 2 million people, mostly children, died of starvation. Relief efforts were mounted, but they were insufficient to stem the tide of suffering. The consequences: a nation's wounds. By January 15, 1970, after almost 3 years of fighting, Biafra surrendered. Ojukwu fled into exile, and the war officially ended. General Gowon declared a policy of no victor, no vanquished, aiming to heal the nation. But the scars of the war were deep and long-lasting. Short-term consequences: mass casualties. Over 1 million lives were lost, with countless others displaced. Economic devastation. The eastern region was left in ruins, its infrastructure decimated. Humanitarian crisis. The blockade's effects lingered, leaving a generation scarred by hunger and disease. Long-term consequences. Ethnic divides. Distrust among ethnic groups deepened, affecting national unity to this day. Economic marginalization. The East struggled to regain its footing, feeling alienated from the national economy. Memory of war. The war remains a sensitive subject, shaping political discourse and identity in Nigeria. What lessons do you think Nigeria and the world can learn from the Biafran War? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Despite the tragedy, the Biafran War highlighted the resilience of the Nigerian people. The war's survivors rebuilt their lives, and Nigeria continued its journey as a unified state. But the war serves as a somber reminder of what can happen when unity is sacrificed for division. Subscribe now. Stay tuned for more stories that shaped nations and inspired generations. Your next chapter awaits.